Hello, welcome to the 55th edition of Drive-Thru Review. Today I'm going to talk about Eminent Domain. I just took the shrink wrap off of this thing, and so you may be saying, how can he review this if he just took the shrink wrap off it? He hasn't punched any of the chits, he hasn't unpacked the cards. Well, I've been playing the playtest copy for like a year now, so I've been waiting quite a while for this. Got the playtest version back last October, and been playing the heck out of it with a couple of my Magic friends, and then now that some of the local stores have gotten their copies, been playing it at the store. So let me just sort of unwrap this as I review it. And I think it's a game that people are going to jump to conclusions about what it is and what it should be and all this stuff, but I think there's a lot under here that probably won't be obvious your first time that you play it. So let's take a look at it and I'll come back and share my thoughts. So let's just take a quick look at all of the components that you get in the game. You're going to get a ton of cards. You're going to get these fighter jets here, and these are different sizes, and they don't really mean anything from the different sizes. They just count as one sort of army in the game. So you get these cool little fighter tokens that represent your armies. You get some of these trade goods here, and these are just different colored goods based on whatever planet they might come from. So the majority of the time you're going to be interacting with these role cards. So there's 6 roles in the game. You can see you got Warfare, Survey, Producing and Trading. This card acts as sort of 2 roles, a dual purpose card there. Research, Colonize. And then you've got some technology cards. And these are sort of the, you might call this the heart of the game, even though you interact more with these. These are really where the meat of the game will come in. And there's just tons of variety in these, and these are always going to be available to you to sort of like pick and choose which path you want to take. You may go like a warfare-based approach, you may do some kind of colonization approach, producing and trading, or some kind of combination there within. You've also got these planet cards, and so what you're going to basically be doing in the game is grabbing these planets, surveying to find these planets, and then either settling them through colonization or through warfare. And you're going to get them in your tableau like this, and then after you either attack them with 6 army tokens or colonize them with 3 colonized cards, then you'll flip it over and you'll get the reward, which is usually some victory points. Some of these will give you resources or other effects, like this one will increase your hand size by 1, etc. And you can see there's different planet types as well. So you've got these sort of Saturn-looking planets, these Earth-looking planets, and then there's these red planets here. These seem like they're more military. And so these are actually going to coincide with the types of technology that you can get access to. You've also got some nice starting world cardboard pieces here. So everybody's going to start with one cardboard planet that they're going to start from. And then you have these little player aid turn order things, so that you can actually shuffle these up and then deal them out, and one of them is the start player, and that's how you figure out who the start player is. And the turns are really simple. I'll go over it in a minute, but these are pretty nice little component there. You've got this sort of board here, and this is where you're going to put all of the role cards I was showing you on. So you're going to play the game until either 1 or 2 of these piles is depleted based on the number of players in the game, or until you run out of victory point tokens here. I haven't even punched these out, you can see. So you're always going to play to a certain amount of victory point tokens or till you run out of certain stacks of cards. And these blue ones here are just extra in case anybody gets victory points after the game. After you've triggered the last round, everybody gets to finish their turn. So you get these for shipping your goods. So let's take a look at the gameplay. Okay, so I've got this sort of set up here. I got all of the role cards in their spot on the board. Here's the planet cards. Here's the technology cards. These are grouped into basically 3 planet types like I spoke about earlier. You got your Earth, your Saturn, and your sort of, I guess, Mars colored planet here. And these are broken down. I'll get a little bit more into this in a minute. And then you've got your starting planet here, which is the cardboard chit. And so I've got to settle it or attack it with warfare to flip it over and get any of the goodies from it. It doesn't come settled. And then everybody starts with a deck of 2 of each role card, except for warfare. They only get 1 of those. And then you also get 1 politics card, which you'll notice isn't out there. So these roll cards are dual purpose. Now on your turn, you're basically going to do two basic things. You're going to take an action, which is optional, you don't have to take it, and you're going to take a roll, which is non-optional, it's mandatory. And then after that you'll do some cleanup. So each of these cards has an action effect and a roll effect. So when you play a card for its action effect, you're just simply going to play it and then discard it. And then when you take a roll, what you're going to do is you actually have to take one of these roll cards, and you take it here, and then you add it, and then you can actually boost that with any other rolls that cards that you might have that match this, and other players can follow the roll. So this is the way that you get cards into your deck. Now when you take a roll, other people can follow you. So if you took the warfare roll, then other people could play warfare cards out of their hand and, you know, just basically follow along with you. Most of the time to a lesser degree than the person that actually whose turn it is and who initiated the roll. The actions, when you play them, they can't be followed. Now you don't have to choose to follow the roll. You can actually choose to dissent or think. It's kind of like in Glory to Rome where you think. So basically you just can draw a card on that person's turn if they choose a roll that you don't wish to follow. So let's go down the line here and just talk about each of these actions, and then I'll talk about the roll effect as well. So if you look at Survey, if you just play it, this will let you draw 2 cards. Pretty simple, you play that and draw 2 cards. If you play Warfare, it lets you attack a planet or collect a fighter. Now I'm going to play it, let's say, to collect a fighter. So I get one of these and I just put it in my little supply here. Well, this planet here requires 2 Warfare tokens here to attack it. So if I had 2 tokens and I played this for the action, I could attack it, discarding these Warfare tokens back to the supply, and then I get to flip it over. Colonize is similar, except when you colonize for the action, you can play it under the planet like this. And then so once I have 2 colonies underneath the planet, then I can play a colony for an action, let's say, and then flip it over. Any colonies that I have are discarded and go back into my deck. So colony and warfare are kind of the same, but there's some subtle differences to how they work. This card is a dual purpose card. It's a produce and trade. So if I had settled this planet, then I could start producing this resource here. If it has this symbol on there and there's different colored resources that are on each of the planets, I could play produce for my action. Then I go and take a token of the matching color and I just put it on there like that. Each planet can have 1 resource on it. Then on a later turn, I could play trade. And for trade, you can take and trade the resource back in here, and then you can get one of these victory point tokens here. Now research, if you play it for an action, you can actually remove up to 2 cards in your hand from the game. So if you don't really feel like you're going to be pursuing maybe a produce and trade strategy, you could play this and remove this. And you can also remove the research card that you just played as well. Now there's one other card that everybody starts with, is one politics card, and all it has is an action, not a roll. And when you play this, this gets removed from the game, and you simply just get to choose a roll, any of these roll cards, and add it right to your hand. So these are just sort of a placeholder to maybe, you know, just be in your hand and go, okay, well, I think I'm going to kind of do this approach, like, you know, warfare or production, and so I'm going to get one of those in my hand early, so I got more of those. So that's politics. So that's how all the actions work. So that's pretty simple. Like I said, you play a card, take the action, that's it. That's optional. Now the next thing you can do is take a roll. When you take a roll, like I said before, you have to draw the card of the roll that you've chosen. So if I wanted to take Survey here, I would take Survey. Survey says for the roll, I look at the planets and then choose 1. So, but that's per survey symbol. So if I took this roll and I just had this 1, then I could look at the top card of the planet deck and basically just take it and then put it face down in my tableau here. But when you do a roll, you have the ability to boost it. So if I had other surveys in my hand, let's say I took that roll survey, and then that would take that one, and then I could boost this with 2 more, like so. And that means I could look at the top 3, basically 1 per survey symbol, and I could choose one. So I could kind of customize my strategy to, you know, maybe I wanted to do fertile planets here, or maybe I wanted the +1 hand size, you know, or whatever. So that's survey. Now the thing to remember with survey is you can follow that if you wish. So if Billy had played survey and I had 2 survey cards in my hand, then I could follow. I could just dump those without taking one from the center. So Billy does survey, and I say, yeah, I want to do survey. But if you follow it, you can see it's -1 per symbol that you play. So I have to play 2 cards just to get the top planet. So following is usually a little bit weaker than the guy that led with the roll. So maybe I didn't want to do that. I could say I'm going to descend, and then I'll just draw a card in my hand for a later turn. So let's look at warfare. So warfare is similar to the action of warfare, where I can collect 1 fighter per warfare. So if I took this and then I boosted it up here with 2 more warfares, or let's say 1 more warfare, I play those 2, then I can take 2 fighters. And whoever follows can also do that. They can say, okay, I'll follow you, I'll dump 2 warfare out, and I'll take fighters. The guy that leads with warfare may also attack with attack a planet and flip it over if he has enough fighters. Anybody that follows can't do the attack part of that. They can only do the collection of fighters. So that's warfare. Now if I took colonize, then it's similar to the colonize action. I can add 1 colony per colony symbol. And basically that just means any colonized cards I have in my hand I can add to a planet, like so. But the nice thing is whoever takes that as the lead can settle a planet, which just basically means you can flip it over to the face-up side if you have enough colonies underneath there. Now that's a 2-step process. You can't just, play the roll, take 3, add them in there, and then flip it. That's 2 separate actions. So you got to keep that in mind. You can't attack and collect fighters in that same motion. Now the produce and trade cards are similar to what the action is. So I can produce a resource. If I take this and then I boosted it up like so, I could produce a resource on 3 different planets or 3 different slots, because some planets have 2 slots here. So I can dump that and then produce it up. So anybody can follow that. If you, let's say Billy again did produce, I could drop these out and then I could do produce. Now the other thing you do is trade, and basically you take the roll, you trade, and you trade symbols that you boosted up with. There's that many resources that you can trade. And so anybody else can follow that. Now if I take produce, you can't follow that with trade. You've got to match the roll that I actually chose and that I'm doing there. And lastly, we have research. Now research is the fun part of the game here. And the game actually comes with a basic way to play where you don't use the research cards, you don't use these research technologies here. You just do the rolls. And you can actually play 1 or maybe 2 games. Now, if you're a gamer, I wouldn't really mess with that too much. But if you've got some people that are not gamers, or you just feel like, you want to ease into it, then, that's not a bad way to play. I think the first few times we played, we largely ignored these and just kind of had fun settling and attacking planets and, producing goods and just kind of getting the hang of the game. Because these are quite overwhelming amounts of different options that you have. But after you play a few times, you want to start playing with these and messing with them. And that's one of the great parts of the game, is you can kind of just dip your feet in, a little bit into each of these sort of strategies here. And there's not just 3 strategies, there's different ones, and hybrids of them. So you can play the game without this research. So when you take this as a roll, and then you boost it up, you've got to have usually at least 3 in your hand here after you've taken the roll to boost it up. Then you can go and start digging through these technologies. So let me look at this one real quick. So these are the fertile planets here. So you can see that these require me to have played 3 research and have settled 1 fertile planet. So if I had settled this and flipped it over, then I would be able to pay for this because I've got 1 settled fertile planet. So if I had this face up in front of me, I'd already settled on previous turn, I could go and buy this. Now when I buy this, it goes right to my hand. It doesn't go into my discard pile like some other deck building games. So this is available for use. And all of these have a whole bunch of different effects. And most of these, I'm not going to get into these in too much detail because that kind of spoils the fun of this game, have an action on it that you can play for an action on your turn. And they also have symbols on them. So when you go to take a roll, you can actually boost with your research technologies for either of these. So you could use this to boost colonize or further research. You could use this to boost colonize or trade, etc., etc. This one could boost warfare. So these are definitely dual purpose cards. Now you can see most of the beginner cards will cost 3 research and then have a planet type. And you've got sort of sister technologies in this stack with the red planets, and they cost 3 researches. Well, then once you get up a little bit, is you've got some that cost 5 research and require 2 of that planet. And these are a little bit more advanced. These will actually give you some victory points. You can see that there. And then each of these has a 7 research, which is going to be rarely achieved in games that you play. And these also cost 3 of a planet and 7 research. And you can see this one here is a permanent one. So this will actually go in your tableau face up. Now I should mention that the planets, these will actually provide you bonuses when you take rolls. So if you look at these here, you can see this one will give you survey bonuses. So if I did survey and I had these 2 in front of me, and then I took the survey roll, I didn't really even have to play cards in my hand. I could draw 1 for the card that I took here, and then if I had these 2 in front of me, 2, 3, and I could draw 3 planets. So your turns are going to get a lot more fun as you add some of these to your tableau. And then some of these are just worth a lot of points. Some of them give you +1 hand size, etc., etc. So that's pretty much the game. You're going to play an action. You're going to take a roll. At the end of the turn, you're going to be able to do the cleanup phase. And this is really a key aspect, and I can't stress this enough, is that you don't discard your whole hand like you do in some other deck building games. You can choose to get rid of certain cards. And so if I don't feel like I'm going to be doing research and on my next turn, I could get rid of these, and then I could be down, you know, maybe I've got a produce in my hand, so I'm going to try to hopefully dig out some more produce from my deck for the next turn. So you can really manage what you're going to do from turn to turn. If you keep your deck optimized and, you know, nice and lean, and just try to plan for your turns as you move along. And I can't stress enough, like, how many times I think that I've maybe won or lost a game by a key decision or two, as far as, like, you know, what I'm going to keep, and really managing the deck and really managing what cards are going to come up when, and doing my best to get what I want to come up. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the overview. I think you can probably tell my enthusiasm about the game. I've been playing it for a long time now, and it's still fun to me. It's nice to have my own copy, you know, of the official game. This is the type of game that is, it's nice because it can be played sort of in a light way and sort of in a really kind of efficient way, and you can kind of play with it how you want. You know, you could probably even totally forsake all the technologies and just kind of, you know, get used to it that way. But there's a lot of great decisions that will hit you every turn. Like I was saying earlier about managing which cards you get rid of, you know, which roles. If you see somebody kind of, you know, going colonization, you maybe want to try to set yourself up to leech onto that. I mean, that's in a lot of games, that kind of decision is there. But there's a ton of technologies that you can just go through and play with each game. They're always available to you. But the game isn't like handcuffing you to, you know, like shipping whenever everybody else ships and stuff like that. I mean, you need to watch for that. You need to watch that, you know, they're running up the victory points and things like that. Maybe you need to go, you know, get your military engine and just get tons of planets out. And I didn't go into any of the technology cards, but there's some really good, strong cards in there, and that back up a variety of strategies. The components are fantastic. The art's nice. You know, you got those nice thick cardboard pieces, and the ships are cool. And you know, like I said, the art's good. Everything is really good component-wise. Anyway, so it's nice. This game kind of hits me on all cylinders. It's got a nice theme. It's space. It's got the deck building part of it, but it's not just deck building for the purpose of deck building. It's deck building, you know, to optimize, get your deck engine running, and it hits, like, it's hard to describe that because it hit that role selection part and the deck building. You know, it's kind of an interesting marriage there. You know, it's not like you're just digging through cards and randomly getting cards like, you know, buildings or technologies and stuff just randomly coming up, and you go, oh, I have to make this decision. But you kind of tune your deck to a certain approach, and there's some tactical decisions to be made because you know what's kind of gone by on previous turns. You know what you're probably going to be able to do next turn. So there's that sort of tactical aspect of it. And, you know, you maybe tactically decide, do I follow or do I dissent to get more cards, you know, maybe have a bigger turn. But there's still that nice strategic, you know, planning element for, I'm going to go military this time. I'm going to go producing. And I'm going to do this. But you may not get any planets at the beginning that back that up. So you're going to have to switch that. And then but it's not like a totally tactical. You change your strategy and you do this. So it has all of this sort of interwoven into it, but the actual physical gameplay is, you know, really streamlined. So anyway, I recommend this game. It's not like Glory to Rome. It has dissenting, which is like thinking. It's not like Race for Galaxy. It has space. It has shipping. It's probably more like Puerto Rico. It took all the parts of Puerto Rico out that I don't like and left all the good parts in. Anyway, so thank you.